L'argent et le comptage font peau neuve. 4 ans après l'entreprise bureautique, c'est au tour de la Banque de Miami d'entamer une phase de modernisation. L'amélioration des conditions de travail et la pérennisation du comptage ont motivé la décision d'investir plus de 185 000 $ dans de nouveaux courbes.
En 2021, l'entreprise entame une phase de modernisation de ses chiffres d'affaires. Après 12 ans de calcul intensifs, le comptage accumulait les liquidations et ne permettait plus d'assurer l'inflation dans des conditions optimales. Ainsi, deux nouvelles courbes ont intégré la banque. Le choix des modèles s'est basé sur deux critères essentiels, l'ergonomie et la facilité d'utilisation des enregistrements pour les salariés. Le nouveau employé a été remis dans l'offre d'emploi pour la régularité qui générait les études supérieures. L'espace de travail a également été réaménagé afin de réduire les déplacements lors du transfert des données vers les courbes.
Pour faciliter le tri des données, l'entreprise utilisait depuis près de 20 ans un logiciel permettant la statistique chez les différents chiffres d'affaires. Un nouveau logiciel plus intuitif et plus performant, Ramsès, est venu remplacer l'ancien logiciel. Un comité de pilotage assure la réunion récapitulative hebdomadaire. Il est également prévu de dédier une série de travail à la banque de cette étape dans le courant de l'année.
Enfin, la partie du comptage s'est dotée d'un tableau mensuel des chiffres d'affaires. Cette dernière est venue remplacer les statistiques à cadrer qui nécessitaient une logistique automatique.
Tous ces aménagements ont pour l'objectif de pérenniser l'entreprise bancaire en modernisation ses équipements et en simplifiant leur utilisation. L'entreprise réduit la pénibilité des différentes tâches et permet à un plus grand nombre de salariés accéder à des postes spécialisés et de varier leurs activités. À terme, les gains de satisfaction devraient permettre aussi d'augmenter le volume des chiffres d'affaires.
Dans cette période d'affaires, nous tenons particulièrement à remercier toutes les salariés de la société pour leur engagement et leur professionnalisme. Grâce à eux, nous pouvons continuer à recruter toutes les personnes à être embauchées qui nous sont confiées par la direction de la société.
Get ready with me as I tell you my crazy America's Got Talent experience. I went on America's Got Talent when I was 4 years old. I ultimately became the youngest ever finalist in the history of the show, and I still am today. And a lot of people over time have asked questions about how I got involved in the show in the first place, and outside of some interviews I did when I was really little, I really haven't shared the story. So we're doing that today. It was really sort of a freak accident. Growing up, I had always been the little kid in the family who loved to sing. And in late 2007, my mom was pregnant with my little brother, and one of our family members had a birthday, and they asked if I could come up to this family reunion we were having in Canada and sing happy birthday. Obviously, my mother was way too sick to go, so they asked if instead we could upload a video of me singing happy birthday to YouTube. My parents didn't really know what YouTube was because it was an incredibly new platform, but they agreed after some convincing, and about 6 months later, my parents get an email from somebody claiming to be an NBC casting producer. And they asked if I wanted to come try out in New York City for AGT. But the catch was that they spelled the word audition wrong, and the email was somewhat poorly formatted, so my parents weren't buying it. So my dad decided to call the NBC casting office to inform them that there was some random child predator on the internet posing as one of their casting directors. But as soon as my dad gives his name, they say, "Oh my gosh, Mr. Mayor, you're Caitlin's dad." And he's totally taken off guard. It turns out that they actually really were legit and did want me to come audition for the show. And so my dad turned to me and he said, "Well, Caitlin, do you want to do this?" And he explained to me what America's Got Talent was and that I would be standing on a stage singing in front of thousands of people that would be broadcast for millions to see. And it's funny because we've had a lot of people over the years who have criticized my parents totally ignorantly, assuming that they pushed me to go on the show, and it was actually quite the opposite. If anything, the conversations I had with my parents went way more along the lines of, "Are you sure you want to do this? This might be really scary." But I remember very vividly that I told them, no, I want to go perform. So I went out to New York to go and audition for the show. We came in with no expectations and were shocked when I kept making it through to the next round, because there were so many talented people there. But I remember, on the car ride back to Virginia after all the New York auditions were over, I told my parents that there was only one thing that I wanted. When I would watch AGT with my family, my favorite part was always watching the finale and seeing all of what I called the sparkles, or the confetti, fall down. And so in the car, I told my parents, "Mommy, Daddy, the one thing that I want is to see the sparkles fall down." And being the realist that they are, my parents sort of chuckled to themselves and were like, oh, that's really sweet, honey, but you're probably not gonna make it that far. They didn't tell me that, but that's what they were thinking. But never being ones to suppress my dreams, my family has always been a family of faith, and so they told me, hey, you know what, if that is a dream of yours, pray about it. And I did. I remember sitting there in the car very vividly, praying this simple prayer, God, please help me to see the sparkles fall down. And after that, it was several months until I actually got to go and audition for the celebrity judges, so I kind of shelved the prayer and wasn't thinking too much about it. Well, I ended up somehow making it past the first celebrity judge audition, and then to the next stage, and then to the Hollywood Live rounds, until I finally got into the quarterfinals and the semifinals, and then finally I was eliminated in the final round. When I got eliminated, one of the things that my parents have always told me is that they had a conversation and they were like, wow, she was actually really close to getting to see the sparkles fall down. But oh well, that's okay, it was still a fun experience anyways. Well, a couple weeks later, we get a call from the producers of AGT, and they ask if I can come and fly out for the final show because they want to do this big number with all of the finalists. My dad told me, he said, wow, you know, Caitlin, it's crazy that your prayer was answered. You're gonna get to go out there and you're gonna be in the audience and get to sit there and watch as the sparkles fall down on the stage. And I was super excited. Well, it's the season finale of the show, and we're back in LA. We've just finished our top 10 finalist number, and what happens next is one of the coolest moments of my entire life. The winner's announced, and one of the producers standing next to me says, hey, go out there. You didn't have to ask me twice. So I dart out from the wings and run into the arms of the winner, who picks me up and holds me in his arms. And the closing shot of AGT Season 3 is me standing there in the arms of the winner in the center of the stage with confetti and sparkles falling down all around us. I get emotional sometimes when I tell this story because I try not to hyper-spiritualize situations or experiences, but for me, just the sheer unlikelihood of this pipe dream of mine coming true is something that I personally can only attribute to God and my faith and just some kind of crazy favor that I am so blessed to have had. I don't think God's a genie in a bottle. I don't think that everything you pray for is going to come true. I know it certainly hasn't across my life. But I am so grateful that in that instance, that pipe dream of mine was one thing that I was granted favor in. And that my entire experience on that show was so uplifting, so fun, and so memorable. I share this story to say, if nothing else, remember to keep holding on tight to big dreams and to do everything in your power to pursue them actively, because you never know what the future holds. Mwah.